So I want to welcome you all to the Virginia Tech Chemical Engineering presentation for the Fall Open House 2020. We wish you could be here on campus with us to enjoy a day on campus and talk with us in person. But since that's not possible, this webinar has been launched. College of Engineering is putting it on for all the engineering departments. We first like to present to you a overview of the Department of Chemical Engineering. This is Goodwin Hall, the building in which we reside at Virginia Tech. So what is chemical engineering? A traditional definition of chemical engineering is starting with batch scale synthesis of materials, scaling up production of added value products, designing, constructing, and operating processes to produce products at a large scale in a safe and environmentally responsible manner, in a way that adds value to your company and society. So that's the traditional definition. And traditionally, you may think of chemical engineering as this. This is a large-scale chemical plant. I worked at this plant for a number of years in Tennessee. We made products safely in large scale, titanium dioxide for paints, plastics, and papers. You may think of chemical engineering traditionally as that, and there is still that aspect of chemical engineering, but there's much more than that. So today, some areas where chemical engineers have careers besides chemical production: materials production, plastics, fiber, ceramics, consumer products manufacturers, beverage industry. So you see over here on the right, here's some of the things that chemical engineers may be involved in. Things like battery production, consumer products, energy sector, definitely food and agriculture production, tissue engineering, and then environmental services in areas like EPA or Environmental Resource Group. So there's many different ways that chemical engineers can contribute to the betterment of society. Automotive, biological engineering, biomedical engineering. About 10% of our students do a biomedical minor. Electronics and even patent law students are involved in as they graduate. Some of the companies, you may be interested in some of the companies that recruit from Virginia Tech. This is a list of some of the companies that come to our engineering expo, usually in the fall semester. In our AICHE student chapter has a special session, and the ones in bold here on the left attend that special session and hire preferentially from Virginia Tech. So quite a large variety of companies across all the sectors that we've discussed on the last page, including food and beverage industries, pharma, Merck, Pfizer, Anheuser-Busch, PepsiCo, in the traditional chemical area, DuPont, Milliken Lord. So what do we do to prepare our students here at Virginia Tech? Well, you start off with 2 years, 2 to 3 years of solid fundamentals. You're going to learn chemistry, physics, mathematics, calculus. That builds your skill set so that you can get into your third year junior courses, which we have 2 students that are participating in the call, Ashi and Augustin, who are going to answer your Q&A. They're in their third year doing their junior year courses. At the end of your third year, you're going to do what's called a large-scale unit operations lab, where you learn how to apply those skill sets in actual production equipment or larger scale equipment. We also have a study abroad component, which we'll talk about on the next page, and cooperative education is important. We really believe in hands-on learning, so experiential learning at Virginia Tech. We have our Chemi Car team, which just won the regional competition. And then you move into your fourth year, which is senior design. So let's talk a little bit about unit operations labs. There's 3 possibilities for doing that. You can take the lab in Blacksburg, Virginia on one of 2 summer sessions. It's 6 weeks. There's TAs and professors here that lead you through that. There's an enrollment of about 30 people, students in each section. The Chemical Engineering Department at Virginia Tech is a mid-sized department. It's not overly large, so you can take advantage of things like this. In Denmark, we generally have about 30 students that go on a 4-week experiential learning activity there to do unit operations lab. And we send a Virginia Tech professor and TA along. And we also have about 12 students that do a true exchange program with Ruhr University in Bochum, which is 8 weeks and includes a research opportunity. Your senior year, you're going to be in senior design, where you learn how to use industry developed design software called Aspen Plus. You learn economics analysis, communication skills, and learning about safety. It's a design for real industrial applications where you learn how to design chemical plants on a process flow sheet. And you gain valuable experience because Professor Liu, who runs this, a university distinguished professor, interacts with a number of companies in the region on joint projects during that period. Chemical engineers are desired and compensated. And coming out of here, generally the average salary that a chemical engineer earns is about $73,000 a year, and about half of those get a $5,000 bonus on joining. So chemical engineers are desired. They build their salary over time, and it's job growth in the chemical engineering field in many different aspects. So some of the co-ops and interns are shown here. And that's, as a chemical engineer at Virginia Tech, you're going to have a really good opportunity to get a co-op or internship. And maybe some of our students will answer questions on that. Finally, wrapping up, here's some more information for you. Dr. David Cox is our department head. Dr. Aaron Goldstein is our assistant department head. He's on the call to answer any questions you may have. And I'm Dr. Gary Whiting. I'm the undergraduate advisor and a professor of practice here at Virginia Tech.
Tell them a little bit more about what this unit operations laboratory is. It's only offered in the summer, right? Maybe you can explain a little bit about what that class involves and why it's only offered in the summer.
Okay. It's a really immersive experience that's been a tradition at Virginia Tech since the start of the chemical engineering department. There's 8 experiments on larger scale equipment ranging from kinetics experiments to heat transfer to equilibrium stage processes such as distillation. So it's really an immersive time when you get together with 3 other students in a team. You learn team skills and build those into presenting information about experimental design, designing experiments, actually running experiments, collecting the data, presenting the data back to your peers in there and also a TA, and then writing up a formal report, which you'll have to do in industry. So it really gives you a skill set to take out in industry. Now we have a number of questions. What type of projects do you build as a chemical engineer? So does anyone have some information on that they want to share?
Well, I would say it definitely depends on what company you work for and what your exact role is. I know right after my freshman year during my internship, I was doing more of a research and development role, and where I was really researching how engine oil changes over time. However, next semester I will be doing a co-op where I will be increasing production for companies. So it definitely depends on the company, your role, industry, etc.
Yes, yeah, there's quite a wide variety from the food industry, food and beverage industry, to paper, to energy sector, to making Kevlar products, bulletproof vests at DuPont. There's just quite a wide variety that companies come in and search for. Okay, the next question is how many freshmen usually participate in the STEP program? I think I skipped over. No, that's it, in the STEP program. How many freshmen usually participate in the STEP program? So I think there's usually a limited number that you're going to come into general engineering, and there will be maybe a number of those. I couldn't say the exact number, but I would think it would be, I'm thinking in the 50. Dr. Goldstein, if you have any, it's not out of the several thousand, there's a limit to that. The next question is, what is the acceptance rate into the engineering school? Are certain engineering disciplines more impacted than others? Dr. Goldstein, do you have insight into that, or do you want me to? Okay.
Not my area.
The acceptance rate, I think, is published on the Virginia Tech website. If you look at past information, they're going to have that acceptance rate. We don't really have that here, but you're going to come into general engineering as a system, and then you're going to select chemical engineering. If you're interested in chemical engineering, we have a first-year common engineering program where we give you the same basic skills. If you're a chemical engineer, you're going to do two semesters of chemistry, which will get you prepared for chemical engineering. Then if you have a 3.0 or higher at the end of that period, you're automatically going to be able to pick whether you want to come into chemical engineering. All right, the next question. Would you recommend any professional societies under chemical engineering? Augustine, you want to talk about that? I think he's frozen. Okay. So, Ashi, you want to talk about professional societies?
Yes, so Virginia Tech Chemical Engineering has a great club called AICHE. It is the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. Here we have a lot of great tutoring events, professional development, and a great mentorship program where you will be paired with an upperclassman and get help with your classes, professors, like how to go to office hours, how to get help, what to do at interviews, resumes, etc., etc. Great program. They're also known for their career forum, which is a great place to reach out and get an internship and co-op. Also, there's also the chemical. Oh, I'm going to say this wrong. The Chemistry Honor Society, which a lot of chemies also join. It's a great network. And then other than that, there are also a lot of great different engineering societies, sororities, and fraternities clubs, and professional organizations, which really help increase your network. Just to list a few, we have SWE, Society of Women Engineers. We have Alpha Omega Epsilon, which is a professional engineering sorority. Sigma Phi Delta, which is a professional engineering sorority. I mean, fraternity, not sorority. And Theta Tau, which is a professional engineering fraternity as well. So I highly recommend all of those.
Great.
Yeah. And just a couple more, like there's SHIP, so Society of Professional Hispanic Engineers, and NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a whole variety, like Ashi said.
Okay, so what are some subdisciplines of chemical engineering? So
yeah, I was going to say that the general curriculum is very general. So it's basically will train people for a broad variety of industries, and so you can go out and you can be hired into any one of a number of industries, like the ones that Dr. Whiting was showing at the beginning of his presentation. But there are a lot of specialties, and some of the really key ones to think about is advanced materials. So we're thinking about polymers and composites. We're also thinking about materials that are going to be like energy storage, energy harvesting, photovoltaics, microprocessors. You can also go into and think about areas such as drug delivery and the bioengineering, biomedical engineering. There's a lot of overlap between biomedical engineering and chemical engineering, as there is overlap between biomedical engineering and all the other more traditional engineering fields. I'm sure I missed a few, like, for example, advanced separations, for example, water purification. Then there's going to be things in the area of environmental remediation. So that's going into air and ground cleanup. Gary, you want to throw in a few more answers?
Well, I was just going to say that we do have undergraduate research opportunities. That's one of the things that you can do for experiential learning. And if you go on a Virginia Tech website and look at the department, there's research areas that are listed there. And you can go into each professor's research and take a look at that. And it's really gives you the breadth of opportunities there, from catalysis to computational work that some of our professors are doing. So I would, Stephen, I would suggest that you might want to dive into that and see some of the work that's going on and what you could participate in potentially as undergraduate research. Moving on to Michael's next question. What made you go specifically into chemical engineering at Virginia Tech?
I guess I can answer that. So I really enjoyed, or I enjoy like making things and like just like being like super hands on, and as well as like chemistry. So I guess the natural path for me then was, all right, like what major is really involved in making a lot of stuff, and that was me, chemical engineering. I also looked a little bit into material science, but I think overall chemical engineering really kind of fit my goal of being able to like just be like someone who like makes anything.
Yeah, I had like a similar process. With me, I love chemistry, I love math, I love physics. So definitely, I was trying to choose between material science and chemical engineering. And what basically made me choose chemical and engineering is knowing the fact that I can go into any industry I do that I want to get into, since the coursework is so general. You can kind of choose any industry you want and hopefully get hired.
Okay. Next question. We have just a couple minutes. There's a question about a VT Nets program. I'm not aware of that program, Brandy, and so it's hard for me to comment on that. I don't know if Dr. Goldstein has any understanding of that VT Nets program. It says internship or research. Before you go offer research to VT Nets students who are yet to transfer, strictly people enrolled at Virginia Tech. Um, Typically, I guess we just have undergraduate research for students that are enrolled in chemical engineering, typically.
Right. The curriculum's laid out so that in your senior year, you've actually got a lot of flexibility. You've got you can pick and choose courses, and a lot of students will go ahead and will do as part of their requirements for technical electives, they'll do undergraduate research. It also turns out to fit into a couple of the minors. So students that want to work on a minor, they may find that they need credit hours of undergraduate research. And I think virtually all of our faculty, 17 of us, take on students to help out in the laboratory and aid the graduate students. So yeah, we actually have probably, what do you say, about half the students that graduate do undergraduate research, somewhere in that vicinity?
Yeah. There's a quite a number. Well, there's a couple more questions here before we wrap up. Um, Will they have access to the recording again of the Zoom? I assume so through the College of Engineering because they're recording this. So I assume that's what it is. So College of Engineering should be able to provide that. I don't have a link to that, but if you go into the College of Engineering website or ask that question back to the email you received on this. What class sizes are for general engineering courses? Aaron, general engineering. So the chemical engineering courses, you're going to have anywhere from about 25, but more typically in your main classes up to 80 or 90 students. General engineering, I think it would vary depending on what class it was.
Right, they've got a variety of sizes, anywhere from 70 to up to larger size classrooms for the first year experience classes. Hey,
So,
Gary, I'm going to jump in while people are asking questions. Can you talk a
sure.
little bit more about the opportunities for senior design? You said something about them working on industrial projects. Does that mean that they leave campus and they go and they visit sites? What goes on with those design projects?
On the senior design projects, they're going to link you up. You'll be doing some Zoom calls with local industries. Uh, Typically, though, you're going to visit that industry. You're going to go to one of their sites for it's in sensible driving distance of campus. So it might be a 2 hour drive from campus. You get in a van, travel there, and present in front of your mentor there at that industry. And then at the end of the semester, you're going to come back and present your project to a management group at that industry. Um, so that's typically what happens with those sessions. How competitive is chemical engineering?
I'll go
So,
ahead. I'll try to cover that a little bit. I think the
okay.
most challenging part of it is to actually just keep your academics up. So in your freshman year, when you start to take your basic classes, the key thing is that the College of Engineering has said that if you can maintain a 3.0 GPA or better, you will automatically get the first choice of major. So as long as you can, pass your classes, do well in them, it's not a problem at all. They might have also explained that after that, what they'll do is they'll start to fill in based upon availability But for the most part, the key thing to focus on is just keeping your grades up to maintain at least a B average, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, so I like to say that we're not trying, you hear stories about engineering departments wanting to wash people out and things. That's not our focus at all. We want all our students to learn and be productive chemical engineers. So we're there to help you. We have office hours, we have TAs, AICHE and our honor society OXE both have help sessions for you. So I like to think of it as being collaborative rather than competitive once you're in there in that sense. What high school classes do you recommend to have a strong foundation going into chemical engineering? Does one of our students want to answer that? What high school classes did you take or were beneficial for you?
I can go first. This is more for an engineering in general, but definitely pay attention in your math classes. Though math will come up in each and every single one of your classes, it is so essential. So if you can take calculus, take trig, and then take calc too if you can, and that's all.
Okay. And here's the next question from Abby. What does the workload look like?
The workload is heavy. I'd say like almost any engineering major is going to be you're going to be doing a lot of homework, probably going to office hours, going to class a lot, because the content can be and will be difficult. But a lot of many people have done it before, and you can also do it as well if you take the time and look at the textbook, do your homework, talk to teachers, talk to TAs, talk to other students. Um, it's hard, but it's doable.
Okay, we have a question from Leah. If you have a minor in biomedical engineering, can you graduate in 4 years? Yes, you certainly can do that, Leah. Dr. Goldstein, I think, is in that area. Do you want to talk
Right.
about that?
It's so the minor requires 18 credit hours, although I think we can double count at least 6 of them. So that
Yeah.
means you have to figure out a way to fit in an extra 4 classes into your plan of study. There's some flexibility for that, but if you come in with a certain amount of AP credit, then that will help out a ton. The last 2 semesters, your senior year, you've actually got about 12 credits that are pretty much anything you need to take. So uh, a lot of people are able to do that. They usually, what they end up doing is they put in 6 credits of research that last academic year, and they make it work. So usually you can make it work in 4 years.
Okay. Yeah, very doable. About 10% of our students do it. Seth, does the VTech chemical engineering allow for double majors? Oh yeah, absolutely. So double majors or dual degree, having a degree in chemistry and a degree in engineering, you can definitely do that. There's a lot of overlap. Is either of our students doing that?
I'm looking into it.
Okay.
It's definitely possible. The chemistry department has a couple different degrees, um, and some are a little bit easier to gain than others. Just in conjunction with like the alignment of chemical engineering courses. I also know of other students who are double majoring in computer science or also mathematics. There's a lot of overlap in those classes, and if you're interested, or sorry, there's not a lot of overlap in computer science, but it is definitely a lot of people are definitely interested in that. There's some overlap in mathematics as well. A lot of people can get minors in that and potentially double majors.
Okay. Next question. Do you know how hard it is to double major in chemical engineering and a degree outside of engineering or STEM, such as foreign language? We do have students that do that. I know there's always one on occasion that's taking it like a liberal arts, like a foreign language type uh, major. Now, usually it's a minor. Double majoring is probably going to be, a significant undertaking.
Yes, definitely difficult undertaking if you're trying to complete it in 4 years. But that's something to sit down, look at the plan of study, what courses you need to take. Can you fit it into a schedule? Will it be 4 years, 4.5 years, 5 years? Is it worth it? Would a minor be sufficient? These are difficult questions, but these are the kind of ones you want to ask with advisors as well as your family.
Okay, there's someone's asking, would you consider the workload in chemical engineering to be heavy or difficult to manage?
All right. So, like any engineering degree, the course load is difficult. It is heavy, but it definitely is manageable. The majority of the students in chemical engineering are also heavily involved with other organizations, do research, et cetera, which are all very demanding. But that being said, the chemical and engineering department is very supportive. There are many office hours, TAs, always willing to help you. Your friends in your classes are really helpful. Professors are really helpful. AICHE, which is a chemical engineering society or organization at Tech, is really helpful with their mentorship group and their tutoring. So all around there is lots of support for you to excel in your classes and do well, and also have a life outside of your classes.
Yeah, one of the biggest limitations that we've come across with students that are struggling to pass their classes is time management skills. So one of the things to kind of focus in while you're still in high school is thinking about focusing on getting your work done and doing it in a timely manner rather than putting it off and hanging out or doing other things. And that comes back even becomes much more important in college when you may not even be living at home and you don't have a parent that's getting on your shoulders and saying you need to focus on getting your work done. And so that's something that you need to practice now. And then when you enter college, it's something that you're going to need to continue to practice and continue practicing. It's just one of those skills that you only get better when you do it.
So Leah's asking about Galileo and Hypatia. Uh, did either of you participate in that living learning environment?
I can talk about this. So I did Galipatia for 2 years. I highly recommend it. You all will be living in Hogue Hall, which is on Washington Street. Because all of the students in the dorm are in engineering, you automatically have so much help in all of your classes, because all the freshmen in engineering are required to take the same classes basically, with calculus and foundations of engineering. Galipatia also offers a lot of tutoring, which is really helpful, and professional development. That is probably my favorite part about it. Before Expo, which is at the beginning of the year, Gallup will make you create a resume, have that resume reviewed, have an elevator pitch ready to go, so you can go to the career fair and excel and hopefully get a internship or some interviews as a result. It is a great program. I highly recommend it. Also, you do get a mentor through Galipatia and have weekly meetings, and you can get a lot of advice and help with that. So I highly recommend it.
Thanks, Ashi. If your high school GPA isn't high enough to get admitted to College of Engineering, but you get admitted to another college, College of Science, and really want to be a chemical engineer, is there one that looks on more favorably than another to transfer into chemical engineering? Well, I think we have a number of students that come through other transfer in, and it really depends on how subscribed the given department is. Now, chemistry, there's a lot of overlap with chemistry and chemical engineering. So if you love chemistry, chemistry is a good major to pursue. And I would just say, build your math skills, build your physics skills, build your chemistry skills. And, then you'll have your best chance at chemical engineering.
Tell me about the different opportunities for undergraduate research that are available in chemical engineering. What kind of things can students do?
Yes, so Dr. Goldstein, there's quite a wide variety. If you go on the Virginia Tech website for chemical engineering, you're going to pull down research areas. There's about 8 different research areas, and the professors in our department focus on things like biomedical research or catalysis or computational methods or membrane technology. There's quite a wide variety. And also, engineers in our department can take undergraduate research in other departments as well. So they might be doing biomedical research in the biomedical department. They might be doing research in battery development down in the chemistry department. Maybe they're working for a material scientist in that department. So there's no restriction on who you can work for. And we'll give you pointers as maybe a sophomore or junior level student on how you might approach that professor and seek out some research opportunities.
Right, and I'll add that one of the things that's required for graduation is 3 credit hours of approved technical electives. So undergraduate research is approved. And if you decide you want to do a minor, for example, biomedical engineering, the minor requires 6 credit hours of undergraduate research. So there are opportunities for people who want to pursue that. And what do we have, about 40% or so, maybe 50% of our undergraduates do undergraduate research before they graduate. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So that's really a valuable experiential learning opportunity. Ethan's asking a question. Students, what internships have you done or are you going to do? I would add to that.
So I can talk a little bit about that. I had the kind of a non-traditional internship. I worked at a semiconductor manufacturing company called Cree. Most kids in chemical engineering generally do some sort of things with chemistry. I was more of a process engineer, where I looked at a process in the semiconductor manufacturing stuff, just a small part of it, and was just trying to optimize flow through it, because we want to get more product out each day. I had a lot of fun there. And definitely really cool stuff that went on behind the scenes, and learned a lot. Not a lot to do, or like in different things, more to in chemical engineering.
And Augustine, you got paid for that, right? Was this a co-op?
This was an internship, but yes, I did get paid. I haven't heard of any unpaid internships in engineering so far.
Here's another question from Ethan. Is the chemical engineering program integrated with any other engineering programs? Well, we do a lot of collaboration with others. So polymer science, right? In chemistry, there's something, an organization that crosses both of those, things like additive manufacture. In biomedical, there's a lot of interaction. Does anyone else have other examples of that? So yes, we're not isolated in chemical engineering. We don't believe in we believe in collaboration, not doing our own thing. So if you look at our research interests in chemical engineering, they're going to be across boundaries, at the intersection of different established professional areas such as polymer science, additive manufacturing, chemistry, biomedical engineering, computer science.
Yeah, I would jump in here and say, well, we know that the freshman program is identical for all the different majors. But after that, what happens is you start to go into courses that are specific for your major. And so while the topics may be actually very common, for example, there's a course in fluid mechanics that pretty much every single engineering major takes the course. But it's a little bit different for every program based upon what major you're looking at. And so you'll find that the material is kind of the same, but it's being presented in a slightly different way. And so in that way, they kind of begin to diverge. But if you ever go out into industry and you're working in a company, you'll find that you're working alongside engineers with all sorts of different types of degrees from different disciplines. And you guys all know the same stuff. You've just been introduced to it from slightly different perspectives. So there is an overlap, even though the courses that you might be taking in one major might have the prefix material science and engineering or mechanical engineering or chemical engineering.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for joining this call. We greatly appreciate you all. And if you have other questions, you can get in touch with me at gwhiting@vt.edu. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.